The Ada Motu was officially undocked on June 6. This is a truly brilliant victory. It marks that China's shipbuilding industry has truly entered the top-end field. In addition to industrial ships, China's shipbuilding industry has opened up the entire industrial chain and truly stands at the top of the world's shipbuilding engineering industry. To a certain extent, its significance is even higher than the great achievement of C919. In terms of analogy, you can understand that Comac has created the Airbus A380. The Chinese people do not have much contact with large luxury cruise ships, and their understanding of the industry is insufficient and incomplete. Therefore, they lack an intuitive understanding of the far-reaching significance of this event. Meaning, for example, I have seen similar views many times, such as, China's shipbuilding industry ranks first in the world. Isn't it natural to build a cruise ship? Is it necessary to talk about such a trivial thing as being able to build an aircraft carrier? Is building a cruise ship just a matter of drawing two more drawings on the basis of a large ship? These ideas are extremely wrong, and they are outrageously wrong. In view of the fact that many people hold such wrong ideas, I will try to analyze this incident as best I can from three aspects: the status quo of the cruise industry, the history of the luxury cruise industry in East Asia, and the difficulties in cruise design. Do a little necessary science popularization. The event was so significant that it would be a crime to bury it. Status of the cruise industry. In a word, the luxury cruise industry is the private land of the European shipbuilding industry, as well as the commanding heights of the world's shipbuilding industry's profits and technology. It is a technology-intensive and capital-intensive high-value, added industry. Some people say that it is a trivial matter to build an aircraft carrier and a luxury cruise ship. This is wrong, because the actual situation is just the opposite. It is a trivial matter to build a luxury cruise ship. The structural design of the aircraft carrier, project implementation, and project management are far less difficult than luxury cruise ships, and the ability to build luxury cruise ships can best illustrate the gold content of a country's shipbuilding industry. At present, the world's luxury cruise industry is basically dominated by the four major European cruise giants, including Finland's Aker Group, Italy's Fincantieri, France's Atlantic Shipyard and Germany's Meyer Shipyard. At present, more than 80% of the world's luxury cruise ships are manufactured by these four shipyards. In addition, although the United Kingdom has withdrawn from the field of luxury cruise assembly manufacturing, it still occupies an important position in key positions in the industrial chain, including maintenance, refitting, technical design, planning approval, acceptance services, and ship classification certification. For example, in terms of ship classification certification, the number of luxury cruise ships classified by Lloyd's Register of Shipping accounts for 43% of the global total, occupying a dominant position. For another example, in the field of refitting, refurbishment, design, and construction of luxury cruise ships, well-known design companies such as SMC Design Company in the UK and Atkins are also leading in the industry. Companies such as Laird Shipyard and A&P Group in the UK also have advanced modification and maintenance capabilities for luxury cruise ships. PFJ, BCTQ Marine, Haida, and other advanced maritime service companies also occupy a leading position in the design, approval, and acceptance of luxury cruise ships. Among them, PFJ participated in the design and construction of the super-luxury cruise ship Queen Mary II. Its technical background and the level of engineering accumulation is unfathomable. The Queen Mary II, affiliated to the Cunard Line Cruise Company, has a displacement of 150,000 tons. It was once the largest, most luxurious, and most advanced super-luxury cruise ship on the planet. It can be called a dream castle floating on the sea. Its technical level is extremely advanced. The seaworthiness is extremely excellent, and it was once a milestone in the human shipbuilding industry. Another example is the R&D and manufacturing of marine supporting equipment. The well-known Rolls-Royce company has made a lot of achievements in power systems, automation, energy management, and other fields. Another example is the Inmarsat satellite communication and maritime navigation system. During the upgrade and refit of the Queen Mary II in Germany, more than 20 British companies participated in it, providing services from technology to consulting to construction. In addition, Sunseeker, a British luxury yacht company, also occupies a dominant position in the field of luxury yachts. It is known as the Rolls-Royce of the sea, but the luxury yacht industry is out of the scope of this article, so it is not listed here. At present, the world's largest, most important, and technologically advanced luxury cruise ship manufacturer is the Italian Fincantieri Group. Founded in 1780, the group is headquartered in Trieste, a city in the northeast of Italy. It has more than 20 shipyards around the world, with nearly 20,000 employees and nearly 50,000 suppliers. It is the largest ship in Europe and the fourth largest in the world. Enterprise. Fincantieri's business is extensive and extremely cutting edge, and it is the world's largest manufacturer of luxury cruise ships. In the 11 years from 2004 to 2015, Fincantieri accounted for nearly half of the global cruise orders of more than 10,000 tons. Share, ranking first in the world. In February 2018, Fincantieri acquired the French Atlantique shipyard from the near-bankrupt South Korean STX Group, gaining the ability to build cruise ships of more than 200,000 tons, and completely consolidated its dominance in the field of luxury cruise ship construction. Fincantieri is to luxury cruise ships what Nvidia is to GPUs, Muay Thai is to sauce-flavored liquor, and the US dollar is to world currencies. Its industry status is dominant and oligarchic. In addition to civilian ships, the Italian Navy is also Fincantieri's main customer. The group has taken over all aircraft carriers of the Italian Navy, including the Garibaldi and Cavour aircraft carriers, as well as the Trieste amphibious assault ship, Horizon-class destroyers, and European multi-mission frigate projects, etc., are all designed and constructed by Fincantieri Group. In addition, the Liberty-class littoral combat ship, a frequent visitor of the United States to engage in affairs in the South China Sea, was actually originally won by the Fincantieri Group, but the members of the U.S. Congress demanded that the U.S. Navy, the manufacture of warships in the United States, must be eaten by the US-owned shipbuilding companies. In the end, there was no way, and this class of warships had to be built at the Marinette shipyard on the shore of Lake Michigan. In general, a luxury cruise line is a company that truly belongs to old money. It is a high-end industry that is truly compelling from head to toe. It is your favorite place to eat garlic with coffee or listen to opera. A large-scale pretentious industry of hot pot. Don't look down on pretentiousness. Pretentiousness is the source of profit. Half of the Han, Tang, Song, and Ming's cultural status comes from the fact that the pretense is good and in place. For example, the clothes of the Han dynasty, the tea art of the Tang dynasty, the writing paper of the Song dynasty, and the utensils of the Ming dynasty. If you want to obtain high profits, you must take the route of pretending. On weekdays, we all say that China's shipbuilding industry is number one in the world, and East Asia's shipbuilding industry is number one in the world, but very few people delve into what this number one refers to. In fact, this number one mainly refers to the scale of the industry and the field of conventional shipbuilding. First, there is no problem with the number of completed projects, new orders received and orders in hand. However, it should also be noted that the shipbuilding industry in China and East Asia still has few breakthroughs in capital-intensive and technology-intensive high-end shipbuilding, especially in the field of some high-profit and high-value-added offshore engineering ships and luxury cruise ships. So far, it has not been able to pose a strong challenge to Europe's dominance in this field. Although the East Asian shipbuilding industry has basically eaten up the conventional shipbuilding industry in the world, the high-profit and high-value-added fields are still firmly controlled by the Europeans. Hands. For example, just like the liquor industry, the shipbuilding industry in East Asia is like the liquor industry in Shandong. There are more than 200 brands in 16 prefecture-level cities, 58 districts, 52 counties, and 26 county-level cities, with large output and market share. The rate is okay, and the scale looks very bluffing, but in terms of profit, there is no one that can fight, and it is in a state of low-level repetitive construction and low-quality internal friction competition. The European shipbuilding industry is like the liquor industry in Guizhou. The profit of a Muay Thai can lift up all the liquor companies in Shandong. The output is only so small, but the profit margin, market audience, and brand recognition are not comparable to Shandong. Even if China's shipbuilding industry can't make the next Muay Thai, it should try to form a Sichuan-style Luzhu flavored 5 golden flowers, Wulianjai, Luzhu Laozhou, Jianan Chun, Tuopei, Shuijingfang, like the Sichuan liquor industry. The situation, fighting against Muay Thai, splitting the soil and sealing the border, and separatist regimes, cannot be forced by the world, all of which have been pretended by the European family. Why compare the liquor industry? Strictly speaking, both high-end liquor and luxury cruises belong to the luxury goods industry, and both are technology-intensive and capital-intensive industries. In fact, they have a lot in common in terms of industry strategies. A brief history of the East Asian luxury cruise industry. The first shipbuilding industry in East Asia to launch an impact on the luxury cruise industry was Japan. In 2002, the Nagasaki shipyard under Japan's Mitsubishi Heavy Industries was commissioned by Princess Cruises, a subsidiary of the world's largest vacation company, Carnival Cruise Lines, and was responsible for the construction of 2 ships with a design displacement. The 113,000-ton, 2,600-seat luxury cruise ship, one of which is quite well known in China, is called the Diamond Princess. It is the Diamond Princess ship that detonated the new crown epidemic in Japan and is known as the most expensive prison cell. On October 1, 2002, the day of the National Day, a fire broke out on the Diamond Princess, which was undergoing internal outfitting on the pier at Mitsubishi Heavy Industries Nagasaki shipyard. The fire broke out at around 4 p.m. local time on October 1. The Japanese craftsman Immortal did not operate in a standardized manner, and failed to follow the standard fire protection workflow for safety protection during the welding operation, which caused a fire. In addition, the power circuit design of the Diamond Princess has serious flaws, and the fireproof material partitions in the cabin have not been installed, and a large amount of combustible decoration materials have accumulated in the cabin, causing the fire to spread rapidly. Diamond Princess fire scene. Hundreds of workers who were working inside the ship quickly evacuated after hearing the fire alarm, and there were no casualties. However, 70% of the hull of the entire ship was burned, and the direct economic loss was as high as more than $250 million, the largest economic loss in the history of the shipbuilding industry. Worst accident ever. Although the ship itself has been insured and the loss is paid by the insurer, the delay in delivery still caused huge losses to the Nagasaki shipyard. In addition to the loss of tangible assets such as the contract breach amount and the cost of rebuilding the ship, the Japanese luxury cruise ship was even more serious. The reputation of the manufacturing industry, a key intangible asset, plummeted. The luxury industry is essentially a word-of-mouth oriented industry. It is better to lose money than smash the signboard. If you lose money, as long as the signboard is not smashed, you can make it back slowly. In the early stage, it is worthwhile to lose money and earn money. As long as the brand is up, you can slowly pay back in the future. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries did not give up after this incident, but continued to persist, but misfortunes never come singly. In 2011, AIDA Cruises, the cruise company under the aforementioned Carnival Cruise Line Group, ordered 2 125,000-ton, 18-story luxury cruise ships from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. The 2 ships were originally scheduled to ship in 2015. It was delivered in March, but due to uncertain changes in the design plan and changes in technical specifications, the delivery time was delayed 3 times in a row. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries must complete the delivery of the ship in 2016, otherwise the contract will be voided. In the spirit of dying to produce 500,000 bolts of silk, the immortals of Mitsubishi began to work as fast as possible and save money, working hard, working overtime and rushing to work in a hurry. And then, unsurprisingly, there was an accident. At about 1:15 in the morning on January 31, 2016, the AIDA Supreme, which was undergoing interior outfitting at the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries Nagasaki Shipyard Koyaki Factory in Koyakicho, Nagasaki City, was on fire. It is located near the entrance and exit of the restaurant area in the middle of the cruise ship. The cardboard boxes used to store materials, heat insulation materials, tarpaulins, and other materials caught fire and caused the fire. When the accident happened, no staff was working on the site. The fire was actually discovered by a Filipino migrant worker. Mitsubishi CN people don't know where they died. What's more terrible is that this is the 3rd time that the AIDA Supreme caught fire within a month. On January 11th, a fire broke out in the restaurant area on the 7th floor of the cruise ship. About 50 square meters of floors and ceilings were burned. On the evening of January 13th, the work cloth in the living room area on the 5th floor of the cruise ship caught fire and caused a small fire. The insulation material that caught fire in the fire on January 31st was the relevant material used to repair the fire area in the fire on January 11th. Due to the 3 consecutive fires, the delivery date of the ship had to be postponed again. At that time, after the Japanese police investigated, they believed that someone deliberately set the fire on fire, but in the end it was ignored. However, this matter did completely destroy the reputation of the Japanese luxury cruise industry. After all, no one dared to sit on a luxury cruise ship that caught fire 3 times a month. For cruise ships it is said that this kind of accident record can be called a haunted house. Since then, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries announced that it will no longer get involved in the manufacturing industry of large luxury cruise ships, and Japan's dream of luxury cruise ships has been shattered. The second country to launch an impact on the luxury cruise industry is South Korea. Compared with Japan, which is self-reliant, South Korea, with its wealth, is more inclined to use doctrine and engage in the strategy of swallowing whales. In 2008, the South Korean shipping giant STX Group spent $924 million to acquire the Finnish Aker Group's shipyards in Masa and Vineyard. In the same year, relying on the global financial crisis and the favorable opportunity of a sharp drop in asset prices, it spent $1.2 billion acquired the French shipyard Atlantic and renamed them STX Finland and STX France respectively. In November 2009, Samsung Heavy Industries won a contract to build an apartment-style luxury cruise ship with a total tonnage of 100,000 tons from the Utopia Apartment Company of the United States in November of that year. Koreans are challenging Europe's luxury cruise supremacy. At that time, Koreans were very crazy. Samsung and Daewoo, two major shipping giants, said that they had set high value-added and high-profit ships, especially luxury cruise ships, as their industrial goals. They had been preparing for many years and were ready to go. It is part of the work plan to replace the declining European shipping industry with the progressive development of the luxury cruise industry. But the good times did not last long. The prosperity of the global shipbuilding industry in 2007 and 2008 was largely short-lived. Then, with the gradual ferment of the financial crisis and the steady spread of the economic crisis in the world, the global shipbuilding market shrank severely, and the demand was sluggish. The once ambitious South Korean shipbuilding companies soon fell into serious financial crisis due to blind expansion. In 2013, the capital chain of STX Group was almost broken. In order to survive, many subsidiaries were sold off, among which STX Dalian is worth mentioning. Dalian City, Liaoning Province is the area where STX Group invests and establishes the most foreign factories. The 13 enterprises invested and established in this area are collectively referred to as STX Dalian. The company pursues a strategy of using China to control China and technology blockade, and only allows Dalian companies to produce low-profit and low-value-added dry bulk carriers and oil tankers, while high-value-added offshore ships and LNG ships are strictly prohibited from participating in the production. It is a tool to use China's cheap production costs, preferential industrial support policies and low-cost financing channels to seize the market at low prices, dump products, and squeeze Chinese shipbuilding companies. After STX Dalian entered China in 2008, it borrowed frantically, but its risk control work was seriously neglected. In 2013, its cash flow broke down, and it eventually became insolvent and went bankrupt. STX Dalian once accounted for nearly half of the total development scale of Changsing Island in Dalian. Its bankruptcy almost caused the development project of Changsing Island to be suspended. After the bankruptcy of STX Dalian, STX Group started a comprehensive debt restructuring in 2013. At that time, due to the crazy financing expansion of the company, it was finally difficult to repay its debts, which caused its financial reputation to plummet. Banks and financial institutions basically refused to lend to it. Surviving alone without receiving new financial support, STX implemented a high-intensity self-rescue plan such as selling non-core assets, laying off employees, and staying without pay, and ended debt restructuring in July 2017. But the company failed to really get out of the woods. Beginning in 2018, the STX Group has taken 6-month unpaid leave in units, which is actually a half-pay operation. At the same time, it has collectively sold the European luxury cruise companies it acquired during its early borrowing and expansion period. At the end of June 2020 it has implemented a voluntary retirement system targeting all employees. Until 2021, STX Group has signed an asset sale worth 250 billion won, about $224 million, with a consortium formed by South Korea's largest non-performing asset clearing agency, United Asset Management Corporation, UOCO, and Korean private equity fund KH Investment. The contract was once in full swing, and the STX Group, which once wanted to replace the European luxury cruise industry, finally ended up selling itself. South Korea's shipbuilding industry's efforts to hit the commanding heights of the world's shipbuilding industry's profits eventually disappeared with the struggle of STX Group's sale of its European luxury cruise liners in 2018 to survive. Finally, let me briefly introduce the relevant companies in China's luxury cruise industry. The domestic luxury cruise industry started relatively late, and the supporting industries are relatively weak. There are roughly a few companies. Shanghai Jingzhou Ship Technology Service Company, which participated in the design of the 30,000-ton luxury cruise ship Seabourn Odyssey. Shanghai Shishan Cruise Industry Development Co., Limited, the company independently designed a 36,000-ton Chinese-style luxury cruise ship. The cruise ship has a passenger capacity of 660 people, luxurious internal facilities, and a dock equipped with small submarines. Think. Shanghai Ship Research and Design Institute, which designed a 70,000-ton luxury cruise ship, and jointly designed an 80,000-ton luxury cruise ship with Tianjin Xingang Shipbuilding Industry Co., Ltd. Tianjin Xingang Shipbuilding Heavy Industry Co., Limited participated in the design of the 80,000-ton luxury cruise ship. CSSC Fincantieri Cruise Industry Co., Limited, which is the protagonist of this question, participated in the design and development of the first large domestic luxury cruise ship. The company is a joint venture between CSSC and Fincantieri. Technical difficulties in the manufacturing of luxury cruise ships. As a latecomer country that only realized industrialization in the true sense in 2010, and most of the time can access the achievements of systematic industrialization, Chinese society has many common sense mistakes in the cognition of industrialization, especially in military technology. Famous superstition. Military technology in China has always been covered with high quality, high standard, sophisticated, advanced, mysterious, untouchable, and remote cloaks. It seems that military technology represents the most cutting-edge and cutting-edge fields of all industrial technologies, while civilian technology seems to be only being able to pick up a little bit of leftovers from military technology is enough to kill in the consumer market. Some foreign companies even specifically target this special cognition of the Chinese, promoting their own boards and cards as military quality and thus winning word of mouth of excellent quality. This is wrong. The actual situation is that in all mature industrialized societies, the most advanced and cutting-edge industrial technology will always be used first in the civilian consumer market. The reason is also very simple, because the market is not accustomed to faults, and only the most reliable and advanced technology can compete in the cruel market. Survive under the survival of the fittest. Your products are not hard, consumers will not be used to you, they will quickly fall into the arms of your competitors, and the consumer market can continuously provide companies with funds and feedback for technological improvement. The former gives you the ability to improve technology, you can change it, the latter gives you the direction to improve technology, how to change it, and the market choice puts pressure on you to improve your technology, you must change it. The speed of progress is much faster than military technology. You force an unreliable machine gun to be used by the army, and the army can only complain and accept it, but you try to give consumers an unreliable car? You see whether consumers are used to your problems. The US military has a proverb for this situation that can be summed up quite brilliantly: don't forget that the weapon in your hand was made by the contractor who paid the lowest price. Going back to the issue of cruise ships, large luxury cruise ships with a class of over 100,000 tons are currently the most technologically advanced ship category in the shipbuilding industry and the most difficult to implement. Their technical difficulty is not comparable to that of an aircraft carrier. You may not be able to build a luxury cruise ship if you can build an aircraft carrier. Cruise ships, but if you can build a luxury cruise ship, you can definitely build an aircraft carrier. Those shipyards in the United States can still build aircraft carriers, but you let them build a luxury cruise ship to try. I will give a basic scientific introduction on several outstanding difficulties in the design and manufacturing technology of cruise ships. Since I am not a professional in the relevant field, there will inevitably be mistakes and omissions in these popular science contents. Comments and corrections are welcome. The first is the refined comprehensive management of water, electricity, and electricity. The essence of a large luxury cruise ship is a luxury hotel with complete facilities and comprehensive recreational facilities floating on the sea. Its main function is to serve the living ancestors on the ship who paid a lot of money to enjoy themselves. The living ancestors are different from naval soldiers. Naval soldiers can work hard, make do with what they can, and make do with what they can. The living ancestors can't. They pay a lot of money to enjoy it, not to make do with it. Not only can they not make do with it, but they must have high standards in everything. Strict requirements are better than the material conditions they enjoy on Earth. For example, a small air conditioner, the air conditioner on the battleship is broken, the soldiers can deal with it, and it will be over after a while. Even if the material conditions are as good as the US military, the living environment on the battleship is often complained about. Luxury cruises are not good, the living ancestors have high requirements, the air conditioner is too big, it is not good, it is too big, the headache is too big, it is not good, the body is sweating when it is too small, it is cold in the morning, you have to stop driving for a while, sleep at night, and play disco, listening to opera, going to bars. The air conditioner should perform differently in different environments. For example, in a disco, the air conditioner must be deliberately higher to make the audience restless. Carnival with the DJ can also increase the sales of drinks. Even if the air conditioner is broken, the soldiers can deal with it. If the living ancestors don't blow up your complaint calls, they will be sorry for the boat tickets in their hands. The air conditioning problem is just a small detail in the all-encompassing service facilities of a luxury cruise ship. Well, it depends on whether the tourists make trouble or not. However, in order to provide stable and reliable operation guarantees for such sophisticated, detailed, cumbersome, diverse, time-sensitive, and urgent service facilities, the comprehensive management, operation, and supply facilities of water, electricity, and electricity networks are highly complex technical tasks. The relevant technical standards for warships, there is simply no comparison to it. Take Royal Caribbean Cruises 137,300-ton large luxury cruise ship Sea Voyager as an example. There are several restaurants on the ship that can serve 2,100 guests to eat at the same time. There is also a rock climbing wall on the ship that allows tourists to climb rocks. Weddings, 2 football fields, and a 4-story royal hall, 24-hour exquisite food and feast, slimming spa center, ocean adventure children's play center, 2 swimming pools, royal casino, modern shopping street, music entertainment hall, golf stadium, ice skating rink, 5-story Broadway opera house with a capacity of 1,350 people. The magnificent Voyager of the Seas. Such trivial and numerous demands require a stable, reliable, and highly redundant water and electricity network operation guarantee. The entire management system is highly refined, time-sensitive and complex. In comparison, the comprehensive management facilities for water, electricity, and electricity networks on the battleship are simply primitive, because the ice machine on the battleship cannot operate, and at most people can't eat ice cream, but if the ice skating rink on the cruise ship can't be properly refrigerated into ice, it will be destroyed immediately. The complaint call comes, you just have to see if the ship owner will fix your ship next time. At the same time, the needs of tourists are often sudden, random, and unpredictable. For example, tourists suddenly want to have a water rock concert on the deck in the middle of the night. Some tourists like to swim alone, and they have to wait until after the show to swim alone in the pool. A considerable part of these needs are inexplicable and absurd, but they must be met, because you can't blame tourists for why they suddenly want to eat boiled wontons in the middle of the night, and they have to be cooked in hoop flour soup. People spend money to enjoy it. It is what people deserve. Ship designers, on the other hand, must ensure that all systems of the entire ship are ready at all times to meet these illogical, sudden, scattered, and unpredictable demands. This is the first technical difficulty in the manufacture of large luxury cruise ships. It places extremely high requirements on the design level of the ship, because it actually requires you to design a sea city with as complete functions as possible within a limited tonnage space. All the facilities above must also operate at the highest standard and in the most stable state, have redundant backups, leave room for future improvements and upgrades, be easy to enter the port for maintenance, be beautiful, and run quietly. Environmentally friendly and pollution-free. Simply put, it is a process of dancing on tens of thousands of eggs, and none of them can be broken. The second is the coordination of cross-industry organizations in the design and construction of these facilities and systems just mentioned. The highly sophisticated and complex system design and construction work just mentioned has a professional term in the industry related to large luxury cruise ships, which is called general layup. It is a highly complex system engineering, and it is difficult for the most advanced ship design company to monopolize it. Generally speaking, it has to coordinate with other companies responsible for water, electricity, and network facilities. The shipyard only makes the shell, and other subsystems are handled by many professionals. The company subcontracts and coordinates with the contract and the plan. Still taking the Sea Voyager as an example, its general layout was jointly completed by Martha Shipyard and RCCL, and the subcontracting work of its subsystems was completed by more than 10 professional companies in Sweden, the United Kingdom, Norway, and the United States. Coordinating multiple companies is a matter that is easier said than done, because the related workload is huge, the requirements are contradictory, the design ideas and styles of different companies are very different, the contract manufacturing of components, product quality management, risk control, work schedule, capital cycle, legal issues, all kinds of contradictions make it difficult for enterprises to coordinate with each other, which is not as simple as designing ships. The ability of a country's shipbuilding industry to manufacture large-scale luxury cruise ships is actually a major test of the comprehensive coordination ability of the country's entire shipbuilding industry. Being able to organize and implement large-scale luxury cruise projects proves that the country's shipbuilding industry is highly complex, and the ability to fine-tune cross-industry coordination and cooperation is a gorgeous art at the organizational level. There are always some enthusiasts of histology who worship the mobilization system for unknown reasons. In fact, the mobilization system is a relatively primitive and basic type of advanced organizational technology. The highly sophisticated and complex cross-industry collaboration of large luxury cruise ships is the most important thing. The product of the pinnacle of histology. Again, it's a matter of material. A large luxury cruise ship is a palace on the sea. Since it is a palace, it needs a large number of people to live in. In fact, in the main structure of the cruise ship, the living cabins account for the largest proportion, and because quality control must be comprehensively considered, it is easy to maintain, and it is conducive to upgrading and renovation. Due to various requirements such as interior decoration requirements, construction costs, shipyard hoisting capacity, and material quality control, most living cabins are made of thin plates, and thin plates have become the main material type. There are no large girders and stiffeners in the structure. This is completely different from warships. In warship design, in order to ensure structural strength, you can add girders and reinforcements relatively freely. After all, warships do not need to consider aesthetics, but cruise ships cannot do this. You must use thin plates and ensure structural strength, which makes the structural design of luxury cruise ships much more difficult than warships. In addition, in order to improve production efficiency and shorten the delivery cycle on thin plate members, a large number of outfitting parts are often pre-installed, which greatly increases the complexity of the hoisting work of the shipyard, and a little carelessness is likely to cause serious structural deformation and material damage. The structural rigidity of the thin plate is poor, and the welding and loading process will more or less face structural deformation problems, and luxury cruise ships have extremely high requirements for aesthetics, so it is necessary to perform extremely complicated correction work on the structurally deformed materials. In addition, these structural materials, it is also necessary to consider the materials used in the interior decoration design of the ship, such as paint, wallpaper, wood trim, blankets, etc., to avoid accidents and damage caused by poor fit of structural materials and interior decorations. Japan's luxury cruise industry has done very badly in this regard, causing endless fires to haunt related companies in Japan like lingering ghosts, and eventually causing accidents, forcing Japan to give up its dream of the cruise industry, which is a job where the devil in the details decides everything. How to manufacture qualified thin plates that are not easily deformed, are conducive to construction, can resist various structural stress damage and corrosion in high salt and high humidity ocean environments, and have lightweight and high strength thin plates have become the key problems in the construction of large luxury cruise ships. In addition, even if there are materials, the supporting facilities used in construction are also a big problem. There are a large number of living quarters on luxury cruise ships, often thousands, and the interior decoration work is complicated. During the construction process of the cruise ship, the hoisting and installation of the cabin units has already started in the middle of the dock loading, but it is often not completed until after the trial voyage. Therefore, after the hoisting of the hull column structure of the cruise ship is completed, the hoisting and positioning of the cabins occupy most of the workload of the cruise ship construction, and this kind of work is often affected by the layout and structure of the superstructure, and is easily affected by the space during the construction process. Restrictions and the impact of cross-operation, which in turn put forward requirements for the coordination ability of the designer and the construction party, and also have restrictions on the facility specifications of the shipyard. The construction of luxury cruise ships must first start from the shipyard. Finally, there is the question of structure. Unlike warships, luxury cruise ships have many special structures designed to meet the service and aesthetic needs of passengers. Such structures are often contradictory to the seaworthiness of the ship, but as mentioned earlier, customers spending money is for pleasure. They will not get used to your problems. You must try to meet these requirements as much as possible, even if these requirements are unreasonable. We all know that large luxury cruise ships are giants with a capacity of more than 100,000 tons. Any large luxury cruise ship is much larger than the largest aircraft carrier of mankind. When such a large ship is sailing on the sea, it is easy problems with high sea conditions. For example, the sag problem of the ship. The sagging problem refers to the structural deformation problem encountered by large ships when sailing in high sea conditions and high wind and wave environments. When the front and rear ends of the ship are at the crest of the waves and are lifted by the crests, then the middle part of the ship must be at the trough of the wave, and the hull below the trough lacks lifting and is suspended. The front and back were lifted, and the middle was suspended. What was the result? Naturally, the hull bends downward from the middle. This kind of situation where the hull is lifted forward and backward to bend toward the middle is called the sagging problem. The front and rear are raised, the middle is sagging. This is called sagging. Here is a schematic diagram. You can understand it at a glance. Schematic diagram of vertical. In addition to the sag problem, there is also the problem of the center arch. The center arch problem is just the opposite. The middle part of the hull is lifted by the wave crest, and the front and rear ends are suspended. As a result, the hull is bent upward from the middle part. Let me give you a schematic diagram. Schematic diagram of the middle arch. The problem of drooping and arching is a long-standing problem in the design of large ocean ships, because it is essentially bending up and down repeatedly while holding the ship, and we all know that metal will fatigue and break after repeated bending, and many shipwrecks have occurred because of this. It is not uncommon for giant beasts of tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of tons to be lifted up by waves, bent in the middle, and then broken off. Huge cargo ships snapped alive by high sea conditions. In order to combat the problem of bending in the middle, ship designers often have to solve the problem through structural design, such as strengthening the internal structure of the hull with skeletons and girders, for example, increasing the bending resistance of the hull through frame design, and improving the limits of sagging and mid-hogging, such as rigidly fixing the overall frame of the hull with large materials across the whole body to improve the structural strength of the hull. All put forward various unavoidable requirements for the design of the ship. But the problem is that in the design of a luxury cruise ship, you can't just consider the hull structure, you have to consider the hull structure as well as the space designed to meet the needs of tourists. For example, on the luxury cruise ship Sea Voyager mentioned above, there is a 4-story promenade deck called the Royal Promenade on the central axis of the hull. The promenade is about 120 meters long, with an 11-story lobby connects them. In addition, there is a large opera house named La Scala with 1,350 seats on the hull. This opera house spans 5 decks and is completely built according to the specifications of the theater of the same name in Milan, Italy. Not to mention the huge restaurants, meeting rooms, swimming pool, jacuzzi, sauna, spa. Such huge interior space is a necessity for good service. You have to have it. There is no reason to ask this question. This kind of empty and huge internal space actually forms a huge structural cavity inside the hull. The existence of this structural cavity greatly reduces the structural strength of the hull and increases the resistance of the ship when facing sagging and hogging problems. The difficulty of repeatedly bending the force poses a huge threat to the survivability of the ship. Moreover, designers of luxury cruise ships have relatively little design freedom. They cannot increase the bending resistance of the rest of the cavity by adding skeletons and girders like warship designers. Instead, they must carry out fine microstructure design work. A large number of detailed designs and microstructures that can be called structural mechanics are used to achieve structural reinforcement, enhance the ability of the hull to withstand various internal and external stresses, maximize seaworthiness and safety, and even consider comfort, because the living ancestors, if you get seasick, there will be trouble. Any ship engineer who can design such a fine and complex structure is no longer engaged in engineering design, but an art called mechanics, which is based on a large number of needs, and interactions. Blade dancer dances ballet between conflicting demands. To give a typical example, that is the famous super luxury cruise ship Sea Oasis, which is currently the largest, most luxurious, and most extravagant large luxury cruise ship in the world. The Sea Oasis belongs to Royal Caribbean and was built in 2009 by the Oslo Shipyard in Norway, which was acquired by South Korea's STX Group. The entire production process was managed and controlled by the Neste shipbuilding system in Finland at a cost of £800 million. Sea Oasis, an unparalleled water palace in the world, has a gross tonnage of 225,280 tons and can carry 6,360 passengers and 2,160 crew members. The largest sea swimming pool in the world, which can hold 2,300 tons of water, has more than 12,000 real plants in its outdoor park, including hundreds of palm trees. The length of cables used on board exceeds 5,311 kilometers, consuming nearly 400,000 steel parts, 45,000 assembly components and 220 segments, and 630,000 gallons of paint are used for painting alone. In addition to being huge and luxurious, this ship's structural design is amazing. Just post a few pictures and you will understand. This is an outdoor park located amidships, a forest of real plants. Open-air floating opera house at the stern. The sports field at the back. Under the middle cavity is a large amusement park, even a merry-go-round. The blue part on the lower right is the surfing pool, and the lower left is the miniature golf course. Outdoor swimming pool and water park amidships. Amusement park and water stage. Balcony view room. The cavity structure traverses the central axis of the hull. In the center of a floating city of more than 200,000 tons, which is twice the size of the largest aircraft carrier in the United States, a huge cavity structure is designed to traverse the entire central axis of the ship to meet diverse landscape and service needs, and at the same time ensure the structural strength and seaworthiness of the vessel. This is no longer design, it is the designer showing off his skills. This is the designer using his exquisite skills to declare war on all his peers, declaring his undisputed commanding heights of professional level in the industry. This is still the exposed part, as well as those internal cavity structures that are not exposed. They all show the difficulty and complexity of the design of a large luxury cruise ship. Just use the sectional drawing of the Queen Mary II, which is also a large luxury cruise ship. Get a glimpse. Although it is not as good as the super large cavity design across the central axis of the Sea Oasis, so many central cavities are still very impressive. Note that all of this is the final effect achieved on the basis of using as few skeletons and girders as possible and highly relying on microstructure design. There are also a large number of cavities inside the warship, such as the hangar of an aircraft carrier, but the aircraft carrier can use a large number of strong structural parts and strength structure design to solve the problem. Luxury cruise ship designers do not have this leeway, because no one wants to have a stupid beam directly above the opera house. Now, can you roughly understand the technical difficulty of large luxury cruise ships? Can you roughly understand the great significance of China's shipbuilding industry starting to enter the large luxury cruise industry? Why do I say it was a brilliant victory? Understand. End. Some people say that the design process has a lot of Italian Fincantieri participation. CSSC is only involved in the design, not independent. Then I would say, please let go of this small peasant thinking that everything must be done by yourself. The globalization of the supply chain, it is the general trend of all industries in the world. No country can do everything. The United Kingdom does not even have the ability to assemble. Does it prevent others from becoming a giant in the world's luxury cruise industry? Everyone is sourcing globally. Why do you have to do everything yourself? Besides, who is Fincantieri? He is the leader of the world's large-scale luxury cruise industry, the founder of the Mountain, the performance giant, and the master of a generation. As a fledgling boy, you have cooperated with the founder of the Mountain since the beginning, and you actually feel that you are at a disadvantage. This is obviously a high climb, okay. Japan is inexperienced and forced to be independent, and the result was 3 consecutive fires, and the word of mouth was completely ruined. South Korea was too big, and the result was indigestion, and it almost swelled to death. CSSC is able to take care of everything and see the situation clearly. It starts with apprenticeship, and it directly worships masters at the level of the industry's pioneers. This is a very rational, very solid, and very safe choice of industrial development path. Adamoto was successfully undocked without major accidents, which proved that this route is completely feasible. This proves once again that employees in China's shipbuilding industry have a rational, pragmatic, and efficient work style, which is worth learning from certain domestic industries, especially the popular industry. Besides, the design is done by the Italian side, but the construction must also be done by the Chinese themselves. Doesn't the construction have technical gold content? Among other things, the hoisting of the cabin and the correction of materials are a skillful technical work, and there were no major accidents or mistakes during the construction of the Aida Modu. Isn't professionalism higher than a Japanese sage who burns 3 times a month? Others said, isn't it a loss in terms of income? Luxury goods are different from other industries. Brands are above all else. In the initial stage of brand cultivation, losing money and making money is the only way to go. As long as the brand is established, profits are not a problem. I hope that the practitioners in China's shipbuilding industry will continue their efforts and move forward indomitably. I hope that the Chinese shipbuilding industry will ride the wind and waves until the end of the world. I hope that the Aida Modu and the countless Chinese-made large luxury cruise ships in the future will be smooth sailing. Of course,
你在问老
the
师吗
ticket price can be reduced.
？OK
It would be better to benefit
OK
more Chinese
OK，大家好，
residents.
拜拜。